out here and go to work. But before we did that, we had to analyze our tape and look at some of the things that we did and learn from it positively, negatively. We're trying to grow in all areas, specifically, skill development relative to our positions. As we push into the last week of what is training camp, we want to continue to focus on those things so we lay a good foundation for the remainder of our journey. We got to continue to grow in terms of football intellect, things relative to situational ball. I thought a significant component of the game Thursday night was possession downs. We were effective on offense. We got off on defense, and that dictated kind of time of possession that allowed us to win the war of attrition as the game went on. And we just want to continue to grow in terms of cohesion, the collective, men working together, communicating, having coordinated detail, because we realize that football is the ultimate team game. Next couple of days is Steelers versus Steelers. We're still very much in training camp mode. We come off an off day, we'll get focused on some game plan-like things as we push into our next stadium. So I'll pause and answer any questions.
Mike, was Kendrick Green dealing with something?
He was excused by me.
Okay, Kevin Dodd said he was working with the ones. Did you like what you saw from enough of the game that earned these first 2 months?
He was working with the ones. I think we gave some guys a day off, and so sometimes when you give a guy a day off, it gives other guys an opportunity to elevate. We gave Trey Turner a day off, and so we looked at some combination of guys. He did perform well in the game, but I wouldn't anoint him just yet.
Do you know when you might have Joe Shobert here, or what's he bringing in?
Joe will be practicing tomorrow. We're excited about having him. Productivity, when I think of Joe, man. He needs no endorsement from me. We're familiar with him, former AFC North guy, been highly productive in every circumstances that he's been in. He's a sideline-to-sideline tackler. He's good in coverage. He has coverage production in terms of interceptions. He has sack production. He plays a well-rounded game, and so we're excited about infusing him into what we do.
Mike, you now have 2 3-down linebackers. Does that give you options in terms of how you can play and what you want?
It does.
Had you guys been looking to add another veteran inside linebacker after Vince's retirement, or was this guy just available?
It was available. It presented itself to us, but it didn't take us long to consider it because we're highly familiar with his skill set and productivity.
Would you say he and Devin will be competing to see who stays on the field now?
I'm not ready to speculate at this juncture. We got some work in front of us, and they'll determine the division of labor with their quality of work as it should be.
What kind of growth have you seen in Jam?
Man, significant. He doesn't perform like a young guy, but sometimes, particularly when you look at the circumstances that he comes from, he's in that SEC West, man, played left tackle over there and logged a bunch of starts, man. That's like dog years, and so that experience is showing. And we're going to challenge him this week and let him play on the right side some and look at his positional versatility.
2 more.
You can suggest that.
But you wouldn't take a rookie out of what he's comfortable with.
You can suggest that.
One more for anyone? Coach, you talked about the Wayne. You said that you called him check down. You said you wanted to go, big will coming into the game. How you kind of saw from him in terms of the growth doing that on Thursday?
I think Thursday is really kind of indicative of what we've seen from him out here. And so I don't know that I was surprised by anything that I saw on Thursday.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody, welcome to the training camp wrap-up show presented by the UPMC Health Plan. I'm Missi Matthews, joined by Bob Labriola. The Steelers back at practice here at Heinz Field, coming off their game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Labs, no pads today, and as Coach Tomlin just said in his post-practice press conference, Trey Turner had the day off. Kendrick Green was excused. A number of guys trying to work their way back as we prepare for Saturday. That will be the 3rd preseason game for the Steelers, and we know Ben Roethlisberger will be starting that game.
Missy, usually at some point early on in my daily practice report, we'll go over the people who didn't practice today. And usually, that kind of news is, a downer. But today, there was a guy who didn't practice. His name is Joe Shobert. and he is the latest addition to the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. And the fact that he was even here at Heinz Field watching the Steelers practice, standing behind the offense next to defensive coordinator Keith Butler, to me is a huge development and a positive one at that. One of the facts of life in the NFL is this: whenever a team goes out and changes coaches, changes regimes, changes their front office, oftentimes the new guy is interested in surrounding himself with players and coaches that he perceives as his guys, quote unquote. And that's kind of what was happening in Jacksonville with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer is not only a first-year coach of the Jaguars, but this is his first opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. And, as we've seen in the recent past, sometimes the Steelers have benefited from these kinds of things. As examples, Minkah Fitzpatrick, first year Brian Flores was the new coach of the Miami Dolphins. Dwayne Haskins, first year that Ron Rivera was the head coach of the Washington football team. Joe Hayden. Now, it was the second year that Hugh Jackson was the coach of the Cleveland Browns, but in Jackson's first year, the Browns were 1-15, and there was no doubt that going into his second year, he was on the spot to significantly improve that football team. And so, as often happens, sometimes, when the telephone rings, it's a good idea to pick it up, because it could be a representative of another NFL team gauging your interest in acquiring, all situations, 3 down inside linebacker who has played in a Pro Bowl and won't be 28 until November. And so when that phone call comes, you want to say thank you for calling, and please don't call anyone else, because we are very much interested. And I believe that was pretty much the sum of how the Steelers responded to that inquiry. And today they have Joe Shobert. I was almost going to say in uniform, but he was wearing some Steelers gear anyway, a pair of Steelers workout shorts anyway. And I think that that's a heck of an addition.
Yeah, close enough. Not in uniform, as you said. We did hear from Coach Tomlin. Shobert will practice with the Steelers for the first time tomorrow here at Heinz Field. He was out there, as you said. He met a lot with defensive coordinator Keith Butler, and then was over on the defensive sideline chatting with his new teammates. So welcome back to the AFC North. And just to reiterate, the Steelers acquiring him gave Jacksonville their 6th-round draft pick in the 2022 draft. And Labs, I was saying to Wolf on our earlier show that, giving up draft capital is something that Kevin Colbert only does when he knows that there could be a potential compensatory pick, or it is worth it due to the player, as in Minkah Fitzpatrick, as you mentioned.
Yeah, a 6th-round pick for Joe Shobert. I'm smart enough to know that that's a good deal. So, the other thing I do want to touch on a little bit, I've been seeing a lot of this, on social media. Joe Shobert signed a huge contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a 5-year, $53.75 million deal. He signed, with the Jaguars in the 2020 offseason. Now, I think a lot of Steelers fans are seeing that and getting a little worried about the team's subsequent ability to still get a deal done with TJ Watt. Now, I don't know anything here specifically about how this is all going to work out, but this is what I believe very strongly. Steelers President Art Rooney II has said publicly that getting an extension done with TJ Watt this summer before the start of the 2021 regular season, which happens to be Sunday, September the 12th in Buffalo, is a priority. Now, I don't believe for a minute that Art Rooney II is not the kind of person who talks to the media because he likes to hear the sound of his own voice. And I also don't think that he would approve a situation that would sabotage any deal with TJ Watt. So I don't know what all is included in the terms of this trade, how teams can redo contracts for guys or assume some of the payment for the existing contract. I don't know how any of that's going to shake out, but I don't believe the Steelers would have made this trade if taking on Joe Shobert and whatever contract he ends up with would have crippled their opportunity to get a deal done with TJ Watt. So when you look at it like what you just mentioned, Missy, as the fact that all the Steelers are giving up in draft capital is a 6th-round pick, and my suspicion that Art Rooney II would not have approved this if it was going to preclude the team from doing something that he himself had termed a priority. Then it just goes to show me what a no-brainer this deal really is.
All right, Labs, thanks so much for your time. That's going to do it for our training camp wrap-up show, our last of this training camp. Thanks for joining us throughout these past few weeks. We've really enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys soon.